What? There's what?
There's always next year. If it
There's
doesn't get
always
done
next
this
year.
year,
Yeah.
there's always next year. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
All
problem
right,
for
dude.
future me.
All right. Here you
This
go.
is
Here you go, Jonathan. Got this working here. So this is my app that I built for you. We got two menus. So this is the point of React is like you're able to re-render something in the middle because you have clicked on a particular area. So I've got two menus of just some things, and then I can simply click on them and just keep on clicking on them, and it's updating the total price. It's keeping track of it. If I were to go to the menu two, I still get it going. I still get it updated. And then, obviously the format is off, but the simple way that this works is it's just an array of menu items, and those are distributed in the proper areas, and they're used as we go. So I'm using Tailwind, I'm using React, I'm using FileMaker. Well, I'm not using FileMaker yet, but the submit button would simply send it back. And then, of course, so what I'm doing, I'll just do a quick little, as my understanding of React. These, when I load this, it loads it all in. And by the way, I didn't use any Chat GPT on this, so just FYI. I've got some variables in here that these are called my state variables. Can you all see those just fine?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So these are my state variables. These hold the progression of what they're doing while this is loaded. Data tables has its own state variable. I don't know if jQuery handles state. I don't know if it does, but somehow data tables is doing this. I'm holding the value inside of these variables, and I've got a function here that will update this variable whenever I call it. So whenever we start, of course, we're starting with 0 with the total price, and then I'm saying I'm of my menu items, I'm saying the first visible menu would be the first element in this array, the 0 element in this array. So that's what happens when it first loads. And then this visible menu is rendered right here. Menu. Let's see here. Oh, interesting. Actually, I should do. Oh, this should be visible menu. There we go. I think that'll work. Be okay. Nope, that broke. So when we first load it, we're loading in the menu items, the individual menu items right here in this top part. These are all red buttons. And then there's a on click for each of the buttons that updates the variable visible menu with the one that I clicked on. So when I click on this menu 2, all of the information about menu 2 is put into that variable. And so now that menu items prices are then re-rendered. This is the point of React, to take a change in the UI, like more buttons, different buttons, and to re-render that part of the screen without having to load the web viewer all over again. You don't particularly need React to do this because you can use FileMaker to hold the state. You can use FileMaker to know which menu item we're on, and then this section could load in all of the prices that are in FileMaker that match a particular menu. But I'm just using React. I mean, this would still come in from FileMaker, but instead of using FileMaker as my current state holder, I'm using React to do that. So then, once a button is pressed, this is a button component right here. A button component is just a function that returns a button that has some classes on it, and then it has an on click that updates the price, or that that grabs the price from that button and it updates this state right here from 0 to whatever I clicked on. It just adds it together because of this function right here. And then that value is rendered down here. Every time the variable total
I
price
think so.
changes, this gets re-rendered without having to refresh the whole thing. So that's what's happening here is we're doing that now. So that's a great idea for using React. And I just threw this together so that these aren't in a nice way, but it would be, I'm going to take this and move it further where I've got the items on the side, the menu in the middle, and then the menu items, the menu over here. So that was, I don't know if that was helpful, but this is what React is great at, is keeping track of what has been pressed and what is the total of something. It keeps track of it pretty well. So, I can add 50 more items here. The interesting thing to me is how to do this so that it's always the same place. I've worked with a couple point of sale systems, and one of the keys of it is you give people the chance to be able to kind of memorize it. So the soft drinks are always at the top, the candy's always in the middle, and so forth. So they may actually know where particular items are, and you kind of want that. So
Yeah.
What? So my thought, my thing is now, how do I handle this so that even if I add items, I basically want a grid, and I want these items to fill in certain places on the grid. Like I probably want all the fruits to be together in one, like in the top row, and then I want the vegetables to be in another row, and so forth. Maybe I want spaces between them. So, but this is a start. So yeah, I like this. I like this idea here. So. So yeah, that's a quick, simple, but it's proven the point of a React capabilities. So cool. All right.
While Jeremy was talking, I used our good friend ChatGTP to generate a React app. So yeah, this is, I just literally prompted it with, can you create me a React text style by tile and show product of grids for a cafe where you can filter products by type. Each product should have a price, and when you add it in here. So yeah, this is effectively done.
Yeah.
Where you can add it in here. And this is just generated. So we've got a cart element in here, a filter, a product grid, and obviously our app JS in here. So yeah, in the, I don't know how long Jeremy was talking. I don't know, a minute. That's got you something, and obviously by default it's already flexing those items and doing them in here. You could probably say I want to be able to remove them and bits and pieces like that. So it's definitely achievable to get something kind of off the ground in very little time. Yeah. So
yeah,
it's doable.
Wow.
React is worth looking at for FileMaker developers. It's a little bit more advanced, but I think we can just like JavaScript, we can do a lot with very little. And apparently ChatGPT takes all the learning out of it. You don't need to learn it when you have ChatGPT. Is that right, Marcus?
He's going. The new whatever it's called, the 4.0 has gotten a lot better at producing a full app of code, because you can then say, right, that's great now, but can you have me a button to remove an item? And it goes, yep, here it is. I've been in my 3D thing, I've been using it quite a lot to say, I've got this chunk of code, it's written by someone else. Can you then give me another thing that will add that onto it? Or how could I refactor this? It's interesting. You take some code, you put it in and say, how can I refactor in this? So it says, oh, well, this, you can make a class, and then you can make this an instance of the class, and then you can add these attributes in here. So yeah, I'll drop that little app I made in the chat if it'll let me. It might not let me attach a zip. We'll see. Not from your computer. Yeah. 77 megabytes. That's the
I'm using
that's the package.
I use I use GitHub Copilot it I use Copilot in VS Code a lot, so it's similar. So if I were to add the menu items, I could just put my cursor here and say create a list of the selected items. Let's see if this works. Found in my variable, what was it called? Set or items. Let's see what that does. All right. So as I'm going through this, let's try to load it. All right, I got an error. No, no error. Oh, it's doing that. It's doing that. So I try to use this every once in a while. I use this a lot to do work too. Um, I like this because it actually knows my variables. So as if I'm in the middle of something and there is something I don't know quite what to do, then I'll just use GitHub Copilot to help me create it. So yeah, lots of chats, lots of AI to help with this until you get down to that 20%, the last 20%, which we all know takes 80% of our time to solve. Adam, do you use a lot of ChatGPT to help you?
Unfortunately not.
No?
I'm still trying to find it by myself. Yeah, but I see this is an error also. It's a mistake. I have to use it because I guess it will help in some situations. Yeah.
And often, as your code gets more complicated, it's not that you're copying and pasting the entire line. So that's a simple thing of making an app that displays it.
Yeah. But it's as a
But
starting point or what?
Yeah.
As an yeah.
Because I've done things where I've got this deeply nested array over here, and I need to loop over them and find the one that matches with the ID and do whatever. And it gives you. I tend to find that if I just write it away from the code, it will then give you a suggestion. Think, right, that's how I do it, and then you take that and change the variable names, do whatever, and say, great. Now my string comes in as the reference to this item is this, and the reference is this item to this, and you can just patch in those kind of blocks, because obviously in a big app you can't paste the entire code base into there, but it often breaks references and things like that, where you sort of think, I hadn't thought about doing it that way, of making this a class and making this an instance of that, and then you think, yeah, that's clever. Then
we have a bill right here. Yeah.
So I also use it for FileMaker because it's really bad at writing FileMaker custom functions and doesn't really understand FileMaker functions very well. But I'll say to it, I'm trying to do this. I want to extract this data from this JSON block, or I want to do this and this. And there's been many times where it's the logic it's used to try to get at that data seemed novel to me, but I had to tweak it to get it to actually work. But it helped me think through how I would get that data or how I'd get that result, right?
Like I said, it's usefully wrong.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah, it's usefully wrong.
Is it? Yeah. I don't know how React or ChatGPT works with FileMaker. It's usually wrong, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It suggests, like, unless you really know FileMaker, it'd be really confusing because it suggests functions that just don't exist.
Yeah,
and
make calculation stuff.
And you tell it to do a FileMaker while statement, and it's got a let in there, and it's just all wrong. But it'll get better over time. But it does have. It's given me some ideas sometimes. I'm just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Let's try it that way.
The problem is that the community isn't big enough for the training have to been extensive enough to really get it good enough.
Yeah.
It's gotten a lot better. Like 3 to 3.5 has got a lot more FileMaker in it, and 4.40 whatever is the last version has got a lot better. Like I've literally just asked this can you replace that array of objects with a request to FileMaker? And it said, all right, here's replace your FileMaker data API details. Here's the constant response. Here's your FileMaker server, FMI data, vLatest database, your layout, or whatever. So it's been able to produce like that.
Yeah, the data API calls actually.
And actually, it knows in here. Here's how to produce that. So I basically said, can you replace the constant products with a request to FileMaker to perform the script for that data? And now it's come back, right, use effect, try, do this, put in here, here's your authentication, assume the data comes back looking like this, records.field.type, and record.field in name in here. That's got you most of the way there to then, to have this kind of connect, and then, have this.
Well, but that's a good example. Like, it's not record, it's response.data 0 field data dot ID.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where it's got.
It is in here, yeah. So response.data map. So it's mapping the record.
Okay,
into an object. And it just gets some field names, doesn't it? ID, name, price, type.
Sure.
You could match that up, but that's not a long way off.
It's not a lot of adjustment that's needed there.
Yeah. And in here, you could obviously say, rather than doing an async in here, you could have, perform script or whatever. And you could probably to say, can you create a function to set so it knows what a perform script in the web viewer is. Look, it's copying you, Jeremy. It's doing a window.setProductData. Look at that. There's enough of your code out there that it's copied. So yeah,
probably
that is calling window.setProductData. JSON pass the product data.
I gotta run, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you, Jay.
See you, man.
Yeah, like that's impressive. It's gotten a lot better at doing that.
Oh yeah.
You previously, I'd not, in the last few versions, you've not been able to just say, right, here's, because obviously there's enough people's code out there, to say, FileMaker perform script with options or whatever.
Doesn't it?
And then it says here, then it's got some text for a script step. It says, right, perform script in the web view, your web viewer object name. Call window.setProductData, and then provide your product JSON. It's pretty close, pretty close.
Oh, just that. I don't know. I hear that. I don't know what's going to happen, but people are predicting a AI bust here fairly soon. So I don't know.
I think it certainly has its useful. You do have to be careful where to use it, and you've got to have a certain amount of knowledge to know where it's getting when it gets stuck or whatever. Because it will sometimes get in a loop where you say, "Oh, that's got an error." Oh no, and it will then change. It will just start flipping between two answers where it's kind of got to the end of what it can usefully provide you. But it's surprising how far it does get you actually.
Jeremy, I have a question about the ChatGPT or Copilot functionality in VS Code.
Yeah.
Do you need a special account for this, or is it the general ChatGPT subscription?
It's not. I pay an extra like $10 a month to GitHub to use their version of the ChatGPT of Copilot. So
okay, so the special version for VS Code.
Yeah, it's an extension. It's an extension that is a subscription. I think it's an extension. I'm pretty sure it's an extension. Let's see here, Copilot.
So
Yeah.
when you have a plan on the ChatGPT, you cannot use it as a paid version of Copilot. So it's
That's correct.
different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Microsoft obviously wanted you to use Copilot, which is their AI coding tool, isn't it?
Oh,
Which
So-
does the autocomplete and all that type of stuff as you're typing, where it's got the scope of your projects and stuff, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, it knows my projects really well. It knows what I'm